Second Nature for Children is in the building. Of course, you see I got my Bro D Whitman tonight. And I just want to kind of piggyback a little bit on what we talked about last night. Why do blacks submit to religion so easily? Brother D said that he wanted to put a topping on that right there from last night. So I'm definitely gonna let him finish that out, and I'm just gonna sit back and relax and get his point of view and his perspective on why do blacks submit to religion so easily. And I kind of rounded mine out just sharing that anytime I hear anything about religion and black folks, I go back in history and just deal with the generations and generations that has brought us up to 2023, and we're still dealing with history. Anytime I hear anything about black folks and religion, it take me straight back to slavery. And so just make sure as you're coming into the room, subscribe, family, so we can move this to the algorithm, and make sure that you share, hit that thumbs up. Make sure that you let people know that Second Nature for Children is on the move, a black-owned organization coming to liberate our people. Facebook family, make sure that you go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, share, and hit that thumbs up to show that you support the work that we're doing. And we're bringing nothing but the truth. If you hear anything that you feel that's not the truth, all you got to do is shoot a comment or hit me up personally at snfchildren@gmail.com. If it's anything dealing with these three areas of the mind, the body, or the soul that you'd like to come on and chop it up with me about, all you got to do is hit me up. You understand? I'm sitting right here waiting on you. It's just you that's not here. I'm here and I'm ready and loaded. And like I said, I got my guy with me. I'm gonna let him finish up from last night, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about why do we as a people like what feels comfortable, how we get comfortable, and then we won't move forward. We won't do nothing because it really makes us lazy when we get comfortable. So, but first we're gonna finish up a little bit about why do blacks submit to religion so easily. Bro D, I'm gonna give you the flow and let you wrap that thing up.
Okay. It does go back to history. A lot of us that may be old enough to remember, there was a series that came on years ago, and it was actually based on truth. You remember Shaka Zulu? There was
Absolutely.
a series used to come on every year. And I noticed now you have to stream it, but it used to come on national television. This was like over 20 years ago, about almost 30 years ago, if not more, Shaka Zulu. And we as a people, this was way back in about the 1700s, we sold each other out as a race. And we got with the Spanish, and the Spanish had the wine and they had the firepower. So we enslaved our own people, got with the Spanish and enslaved our own people and captured the ones, what they call the strong, big ones that were good for breeding. They were called a buck. So, all of the Spanish, they wanted a buck, and you get them with the woman and breed them. They have children, and the children become a buck. All the boys become a buck. And they used to put a lot of fear if any slave disobeyed or did something that was dishonorable according to the master. And this was in the Willie Lynch letter also. They would take 2 horses and strap the young buck up on one leg and strap him with the other horse with the other leg. And they would hit each horse, and the horse would run, and they would pull this guy, which was the slave, within an inch of his life. And they would make all of the slaves watch this. And this was an example. This is how you taught them, because this was the way they did it, so you didn't have to beat the slaves and lynch them and hang them, because it was just like the government. Now they say, if you get in trouble or damage something, you're government property. So there is a fine to pay. So if you go in the military, and you get damaged and you can't fulfill whatever your classification is, there's a penalty. Just like if you talk back to a sergeant or what have you, then they'll take your money, throw you in the brig. So all of it, when you think about it, all of it is relative, and even with the religion, because it taught you to be submissive, obey the master, don't talk back, boy, and just obey. And they had another saying that used to say, they used to tell you, just go along and get along, and don't talk back. Don't give him no lip. And if you was the type of slave that might question something, you were labeled as a troublemaker. So if you take the Spanish trade and all of that, because there were so many slaves, if you go way back in history, and they taught us this when they was actually teaching us a lot of the real history. A lot of it, they're taking it out of the schools now. But it was so many slaves that jumped overboard, and some of them that didn't even voluntarily jump. Some of them just died from being, just chained up and everything on the ship. It changed the whole migration pattern of the sharks. So the sharks knew there was fresh meat coming. So it would change the whole migration pattern. But religion doesn't teach you any of that. That's the truth. It just teaches you to obey, don't think, and no lip, those things. And so all of that correlates with slavery. Don't question anything, because if you question anything, that's part of the devil. So I'm thinking, as the years go by, getting older and wiser, why wouldn't you question anything that doesn't make sense? It even teaches you, there's a scripture in there where you're more familiar with the good book than I am, brother. It tells you where this guy married a whore, a harlot. They called her a harlot. So she was a woman of the streets. And I remember asking one day in the church, I was like, why would anybody in their right mind do that? If you're not from the streets, why would you marry a woman that's loose, that just loose like that? It doesn't. And I know we went to the same high school, and Coach Sidney, you remember Coach Sidney? He used to say, when you pick your women, you go, if you know you can't get a brand new car and it's a used car, get a used car with low miles. Now that made a lot of sense to me. I got it then. So I'm like, why does that make sense in this religion? It doesn't make sense. So you have to question things. And I believe, like they say, within, the God, the big G. If he didn't want us to question or think, he wouldn't have given us a mind. And so you have to question the contradiction. So it goes back to systematic, slavery, and submissiveness. And so those are some dangerous things, and ironically, they all start with the S, and then if we go a little deeper, you can go with the O word with obey. And I think about the history, if we go with, you remember back in 1955, Emerson Till, how they beat this kid. He was about 14 years old. And I just remember a lot of those Negroes were so afraid, and the uncle gave him up because he was looking out for his family. He said, well, he had to protect his family. And I'm thinking, well, back then I know they was picking cotton because my mother was about 9 years old back then, you know. So I'm like, why would you live on the slave master's property where you have no rights anyway? So they come and violate your own home and you give up your nephew and they beat him and shoot him in the head and throw him in the Mississippi River. One of the most racist states in America. That's one of the states that didn't even require that you graduate from high school. So that goes back to slavery and education. And not only was it a lack of education, we've been miseducated for not decades, centuries. And it's systematic. So it goes from generation to generation to generation to generation. So it's just, when you think about it and you talk to people and we rap with the brothers, it's already in their mind because they've been taught not to discuss that, or anybody that questions anything, that's, you're the devil. But that's a contradiction, because if you were the devil, why would God, who controls everything, give you a mind? Obviously, he wanted you to be able to think for yourself. And those old slavery songs and folk tales that we discussed yesterday, you was touching bases on, all of that was just part of, they needed something to hold on to. The slaves needed hope, and that's what helped them get stronger. They needed to have those old folk tales and songs, because I truly believe now, and you know, everything doesn't work for everybody, but I think that's the only way they would have survived, brother. That was the faith that they needed to hold on, which was hope, to continue to be strong, because I think a lot of them would have given up. I think a lot of them would have given up. And I think we would have, if we had thought more so after they survived and a few generations later, I think if we had thought more so on, like with Malcolm as opposed to Martin, we would have gotten a lot farther, because they teach about, you know, taking care of your body, the temple, because you only get one. And they also put the work in this renewing of the mind also. They put the work, them and the Jehovah Witnesses, they put the work in. And a lot of people used to laugh at them for years and, you know, have little jokes and say, oh, you know, how do those brothers go out there in those suits in that hot sun? Okay, but you got a lot of other groups and spiritual religions and everything and their beliefs, and you all just sit in the church, but there's no work put in. Now, there's something seriously wrong with that. They're not going out to the community. So what are you doing for the community? Everybody passing the tray and everything. So, brother, to answer your question, it's just, it's so many layers of dysfunction, miseducation, and submissiveness. And that's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay.
What's your take on it, brother?
I definitely see where you are, and definitely when we look at it further as the so-called men,
Right.
so-called men, and I say the so-called men because I've been working with children for a long time, and calling on men to step up and let's be the head
Right.
within your household first, you know, within your neighborhood, you move out to the community and begin to take charge. And definitely when we're talking about, like I said a little earlier, anytime we're talking about religion, I have to go back in history. Now, I
Yes.
understand that, yeah, we're definitely in a different time
Mm-hmm.
where back then, definitely our ancestors was not as smart with the technology and the times
Right.
that has moved on to now, for
Mm-hmm.
more things that has been more revealed that we should have been picked up by now. And so
Right.
that time I understand spiritually because they was not educated. So
No.
all they had was to believe in something to get through what
Yes.
they were going through.
There you go.
So I understand that. So Now,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us has taken that same old spirit and
Mm-hmm.
has stayed back
Yeah.
in a belief where now we're at a point where it's things that you should know by now instead of just accepting. You
Right.
understand? You understand? We
There
we
you
should
go.
and this gonna make a lot of folks mad, but I don't care. Hit me up, snfchildren
Truth.
at gmail.com, because one thing I found out, this truth, it rattles feathers.
Mm-hmm.
It
Every
rattles.
time.
So you can't tell me out of all the different sectors of
Mm-hmm.
Christianity that you have the audacity to try to make your belief someone else reality. I
Right.
have no problem if you believe that Jesus is God. I have no problem with your belief. But
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you something. Do not try to make Jesus to the point where it's a fact that he's the supreme being.
Right.
That's a conflict even between the Christian sectors. Now,
Absolutely.
once I see you telling me that you believe in something, you have faith in something, you have hope in something, that you believe in Jesus, but if I don't see you acting your belief, then you, that's dead. Even the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
faith without works is dead faith. That's dead. So
187.
I have no problem with my people telling me what they believe in. I would just love to see more action in their belief. Very simple. Now, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to being submissive, in my opinion, the man today is very submissive to the
Right.
system.
Absolutely.
The Negro today in 2023, still today, is very submissive. Shoot me a
Mm-hmm.
comment. If you have anything to say against what I'm saying, hit me up, snfchildren at gmail.com. You can come on, share your perspective. Let me hear what you got to say. But I'm telling you from my experience dealing with the so called men today, to be liberated, to come together, to
Mm-hmm.
move forward, especially with our youth. That's
Mm-hmm.
my area, with our youth.
Mm-hmm.
The men, so called, so called, are
Mm-hmm.
letting our families down and letting our children down because
Right.
we are very submissive. We have surrendered into a system where
Mm-hmm.
our main concern for a lot of us is going to work, entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
how many women you can get,
Mm-hmm.
how many children you can have,
Mm-hmm.
how much drugs you can smoke or do.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest reasons. As a
Mm-hmm.
people, we're in trouble. And I'm calling out the men and I'm saying it right here, snfchildren at gmail.com. You can hit
Mm-hmm.
me up. We can do a show. You come on, give your perspective. But one of the problems that I'm seeing that we're having as a people, there are no men who are truly ready to be liberated and ready to move forward and ready to fight for what's right. Because, just like we said on the next topic, we have just become too comfortable.
Yes.
We think now that we got a little car, I always tell
Yes.
you, we got a little house, that
Mm-hmm.
we are doing well. But as a people, we're not doing well, and our youth are definitely not doing well because there's not enough men
Mm-hmm.
carrying or bearing a responsibility. I was talking to a gentleman, and I use the word gentleman so I don't use another word. And he was telling me at the gym, he says, as long as my little girl is okay, I don't care about the other kids. Now let me tell you something.
Wow.
That right there, yeah, that really burnt me because clown, and I use the word clown because that's a clown to me.
That's
Because
definitely clown.
your daughter
Weak.
have to stay within this same community that you're in right here.
Absolutely.
And unless you're going to take her, wrap her up in bubble wrap, and don't let her come out into the community or the environment,
right,
you got to make sure that you go out into that community and work with those kids out there, because your daughter may end up wanting to be like one of them. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It may be one of those young boys that rape or hurt your daughter, where you could have made an impact on their life. So,
absolutely.
so as a people and as men, we are very lazy when it comes to helping someone else. Now, we'll do whatever we have to do for ourselves, but when it comes to helping someone else, as men of color, we're very lazy. It's not an interest. We are definitely sleeping. We are definitely unconscious.
Oh yeah.
As a people, as so-called men in our community. So slavery has really messed us up, has made us, very submissive. Religion has really messed us up. And not only has religion messed us up, and what religion does is there are questions about religion that can never be answered.
Right.
They're just, no one was back there. They're just questions that can never be answered. So watch another thing that religion does. It keeps us talking about something that can never be answered, so we don't work on the answers that we need for today.
Right.
Now you'll have some religion where in our book we got answers, in our books we got answers. But when you look at as a totality, as us people of color, I don't know one book that I can just look into and say, wow, I see that book really is making an impact on a large group, because we are too separated. The different books has separated us so much till we can't even come in as a large group and say that, wow, we have made a difference, because we're too separated. So I'm gonna leave it right there, bro. If you like to share anything else on that, like I said, we're very submissive as a people.
Yes.
We have surrendered ourselves as a people. We're not doing anything because we have gotten so comfortable with being in a bad place till it just has become comfortable to us.
Right.
There haven't been a true movement since they took Dr. King out in '68, when he was trying to make a movement, whether people agreed with what he was doing or not. So you looking at from 1968, once they killed Fred Hampton in '69. So we're gonna go right from 1969 until 1970 until today. And there haven't been a true movement since then. As a people, we are in trouble. Even Farrakhan brought with the Million Man March. So let's say you got 1 million folks went in one place, had a good time, made a lot of money, went back into their communities, and nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed. And one thing we have to do as a people, we got to stop getting so riled up when something happened, and then 2-3 weeks later, everything just die back down. We just go back the same. So Yep. So I would say we're very submissive. Once again, we do we will surrender unto a system, and I
Mm,
don't see myself personally, and I would love to see it, but I don't
mm,
see any changes happening anytime soon. I don't see it.
mm.
I don't see it. So
Yeah,
anything else you like
yeah,
to
thank
share
you,
with
right.
them?
Yeah,
Anything
brother.
else?
Yeah. Um, the sad thing is you pointed out, okay, we go to 69 to 70, Fred Hampton. And ever since then, one of the biggest problems that I noticed, and it changed the whole game. We don't have, number one, we don't have any more civil rights leaders anymore. Everybody just want a job. And they kept the black man afraid. And they tricked us again. Like Malcolm X said, we got bamboozled again because they said, well, we just give them a job and shut them up. And where they really got us, um, Marvin Gaye and Barry Gordon had an argument back in the 70s. And me and you, we old enough to remember. And he talked about poverty and war. You remember the song Marvin Gaye said, "What's going on? What's really going on?" And Barry Gordy told Marvin, "Hey, brother, we need to just talk about love." And he wanted to talk about just good stuff and what makes the black people and everybody feel good. You know, what's appropriate for this time. And he specifically told Marvin Gaye, this is not the time. We don't want to get people in an uproar. And this happened quite a few times in the entertainment business and everything. And Marvin, he took a stand that particular time and he said, I need you to help me with this, Barry. Help me or get out of my way. Because he needed to make that song. And he said, love will conquer hate. And he covered a lot of stuff, and a lot of the younger generation never listened to the words of the song. And the bottom line was what's really going on. And a lot of people never got it. And so the sad thing, brother, is that we still don't know what's going on. And so you have a lot of the so-called men, house of the family, the leader, and everything. And I grew up around a lot of strong men. I had a lot of uncles I was fortunate enough to have. And they didn't take any mess. And so that taught me to think a little bit different, and I appreciate it. And so we have a lot of guys now, a lot of men and supposedly head of the household. They are afraid, and it made us very weak. They're weak. They got, a lot of people got a good education, but what we call that is you're just an educated fool because you're weak, because you don't stand for anything. And I remember hearing somebody saying something similar to what you said the brother told you. He said, man, hey man, I'm just worried about me and mine. I'm older now, I ain't got time to worry about nobody else. And I just thought to myself, that's such a very weak and cowardly response. So, because we all got to live in the world, and I said, well, man. And I remember the mother of Emmett Till, made a comment and everything. She said when they stayed in Chicago and when she sent her son to Mississippi, she used to think like, well, whatever's happening down there, that don't have nothing to do with me. But when it affected her son, as people say, me and mine, she was like, any problem, any issue, because you still got to live in the world. If she has an issue, everybody ought to have an issue. Because it could be your child or your grandchild. And to me, it's just such a real punk and weak attitude and perception and just the mindset. Because if you'll stand and you'll take one for your family, your loved one, your daughter, your son, okay, well, why wouldn't you do? Why does it have to get to that for you to stand up and be a real man? And so as long as we're afraid and cowardly like that with that mind, because they tricked us again. They gave us a lot of the technology. Now we got the internet. So now basically we have a lot of access to a lot of the poison that's on the internet. They don't have to feed us with drugs necessarily, alcohol. They can feed us with mess on the internet. You got TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and all that, Messenger. So many different ways to communicate, but a lot of the stuff on there is mess. So now they put the junk in your head without you even going to the package store or going to the dope man. Because most of the stuff that they put on there, a lot of the children today, they have access. You got access to the good stuff and you got access to the bad stuff. And it's a lot more for the bad stuff.
Absolutely. Well, you know what, Bro D, what I like to do right now is put a challenge out to the man.
Yes.
I like to put a challenge out to the man. And as a matter of fact, I'm on another clip and say it up front. But I'm calling out all men that would like to make a difference, that would like to make a difference, to come to share with me what it is that you would like to do to make a difference to help humanity. I have an organization where I work with the youth and educating them about the body, the mind, and the soul.
Right.
How as they become adults to live a more healthy and productive life. Because as we was coming up, and as we have gotten, especially to this point, then a lot of us are not living a healthy and productive life. So I put a challenge out to all the men who hear this. On the next film we do, I'm gonna say it up front, so they can reach out to me, snfchildren@gmail.com. And if they're ready to come part of a Black organization where we're making a difference and willing to come in and see what it is that they can do and what part they can play to help humanity. If they tired and sick and tired of seeing what's going on and ready to be part of a movement to move forward for the betterment, not only for our families, but us as a people. So shoot me that email if you are that man, snfchildren@gmail.com, and let's move forward. And a couple of things that we need to make sure that we do as men and as people of color. I had put another film out about some solutions and how to become a better adult. And I hope everybody can go and take a look at that. But some of the things, we got to stop drinking so much and get help if we need help. You know, we got to stop doing drugs so much. And as a matter of fact, try to cut them drugs out and get help if you need help. You know, and begin to take care of yourself. Start exercising, clean your diet up. Stop being jealous of others. You understand? I need for us to, if you are part of a belief, I need you to live it. I have no problem with you being part of a belief. My problem is that you just have a belief, faith, and hope, and you're not doing anything to move forward on your belief. That's a problem. I need you to learn how to make better financial decisions. You know, Dr. King even stated he felt like he had led the Negro into a burning building because he should have been teaching him economics. You know, he didn't teach him self-sufficiency. And so he spoke that. And we got to learn to love yourself. Learn to love yourself. You understand? Then you'll treat yourself, you'll do yourself better. And learn to accept help when someone is trying to help you. I'm here now. If you need help with your physical being, the right mindset to get it together, the right spiritual set of learning how to love yourself, hit me up. I've already given you my email address. So, you know, we just looking to bring us together as a people. Like Malcolm said, it's been said, leave your religion outside the door. Let's come in as a
Oh
group
yeah.
of black people that's in trouble because when they pull you over, they don't ask you what religion you are before they start beating you down. All they know is you this color right here. That's all they know. So we got to do better as a
That's
people
right.
coming together. Absolutely. So I'm gonna leave it right there, bro. D. We got 2 minutes or so. I'll let you close out, and I thank you for the show,
Right.
my brother. And
Yeah.
the floor is open for anybody who hear it,
Yes.
see. I've given my email address. Make sure you subscribe, share,
Mm.
hit that thumbs up. Come on, if you want to do a show. We'll be back Sunday night live talking about the power of prayer. Does it even work? We're going to talk
Yeah.
about that Sunday. The power
Mm-hmm.
of prayer. Does it even work? And we definitely
Mm-hmm.
going to jump into that a little bit Sunday. But, bro, D, we
Yeah.
got 2 minutes. I'll give you a minute or so. Let you close out and we'll get out of here.
Okay. I just like to use an old quote by Brother Martin, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and everything. And we need more of this, closing out. And I just like to say, he say, any man that there's nothing he willing to stand for ain't fit to live.
There it
If
is.
there's nothing, that's it. If it's nothing that you're willing to die for and stand for, you ain't fit to live. You just in the way, taking
There
up
it is.
space. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that right there, bro. D. I appreciate you so much for your time. I hope that your schedule is open for Sunday.
Yes.
If anybody
Yes.
would like to come on Sunday, you can shoot me an email, snfchildren@gmail.com. We're going to be talking about the power of prayer and does it even work? Does prayer even work?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're going to do that
Yeah.
Sunday. So make sure everyone, once again, you go subscribe. We bringing this truth. Second Nature for Children is on the move. We're helping our youth. Make sure that you go to our Facebook page, Second Nature for Children, see the work we're doing. Make sure you go to our website, see the work we're doing with our youth. We are #1 when it comes to children. Absolutely. And so I want to thank you again, bro D. We're going to get out of here. I look for you Sunday, and I hit you, and I
Yes.
appreciate you for your time. Thank you so much.
Anytime, brother.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure, brother.
Take care,
Peace
bro D.
out.
Yes,
You
sir.
too.